All right, so we're onto the fuel pressure line. Or I'm sorry, you're right. Cut. Hey, good morning, everybody. Man, we got a lot going down in the shop this weekend. We are swapping out the motors in the 68. You guys have watched us put that motor in and wrestle through getting the transmission and all those pieces. And after we did, and we started running the engine for a while, we discovered that at least two of the cylinders are dumping oil in them. Haven't discovered why. I don't know if it's a rings, a valve seal, valve stem seals. We don't know what's going on there yet. We're just going to pull it out. We have another motor that when we pull the spark plugs out, after running it for a bit, they look pretty clean, look like they're in great shape. And so we're going to swap that motor out to get this running, and then Tim's going to do some evaluation. Is he going to rebuild that 390? What's the process? How we going to do that? So he's going to start working on that today when he gets here, and which means disassembling, pulling apart all the 68, all the work that you watch us do, pull that out. But we're also looking at a ring gear issue or something along the line. We had a big bang with the starter, and since then it's been making some noise, so we're going to pull all that apart, figure out what the heck's going on down there. The thing that I'm working on is our 64 Chevelle convertible. We have been in the process of doing a brake conversion on that. We did a four-wheel disc brake conversion. We bought the kit from a company which sent us it appears to be a mix of parts. I really don't know, but the symptoms that I've been reading about online all seem to indicate that we got a front disc brake conversion kit with a master cylinder for that, but it was designed for drum brakes. We had ordered the four-wheel kit. They sent us, I believe, a front kit with the wrong master cylinder and the wrong proportioning valve, and just sent us an extra set of calipers for the rear. And part of the reason we think that is because the front kit, we ordered them all in black. The front kit came in black with the chrome master, and the rear calipers were red, so clearly not part of the same kit. Anyway, we've been trying to track this down for over a year. We cannot get the rear disc brakes to seat on the 64. The brake pads don't seem to ever get hot enough to actually put the thin layer of whatever the film is, gets them hot and makes them smooth, and they stay really rough. And then this last time, what we discovered, we had destroyed the rotors because they were just slowly overheating. One of the other things I learned, and I did not know this, rear drum brakes require a 10-pound back pressure valve on there, or about approximately 10 pounds. They actually keep pressure on the wheel cylinder to counteract the weight of the springs, or the pressure of the springs on the pads, pulling them together so that it holds them out just a little bit, so that it's a quicker response on the brakes. Well, your calipers, your four-wheel caliper system, they only ask for about 2 pounds of back valve pressure and or back pressure on from the master cylinder onto each wheel. So we've been having multiple problems with this car and not able to make it work, and it's been super frustrating. So we've bought a proper master cylinder for all 4 discs, and we bought the proportioning valve to put on there. So I'm going to jump in and start doing that job on the Chevelle. If we can get everything done this week, we'll have the dash out of the Chevelle, the speedometer cable changed, the oil pressure line put in, and maybe even a water temp sensor put in, so that all of the SS gauges in the 64 Chevelle will work. We'll see if we get to all of that. Hopefully Tim's going to be able to get the motor swapped. We're going to take you along and show you the progress as we go. Appreciate you following us, and don't forget to subscribe, like, do all the stuff you got to do, and help support our channel. Appreciate it much. So here's the plan for today. Working on the 64 Chevelle. I am replacing this master cylinder with another one from the Right Stuff. It's supposed to be the one that I'm getting is supposed to be a rear disc and a front disc, and I believe this one is a rear drum front disc. So I'm going to swap all that out, put in this new one that I've got. Hopefully that'll solve my issues with being able to get enough pressure on the back brakes to get them set in. Haven't been able to get them to activate. Soft pedal, you have to pump it twice actually before you get a solid pedal, and they say that if you're doing that on this conversion, then it probably means that you have the wrong master cylinder, so you're not getting enough volume back there to activate the rear brakes. So that's the plan. Going to start there. If we get to it, I'm going to do a pressure line, or an oil pressure line into the back of the SS dash, and maybe even water pressure sensor, speedometer cable, a couple other things, a bunch of stuff to do on this. So I'm going to set up the video, take you along for the ride. I'm no expert in brakes. I've done quite a few of these, but I have not done a ton of bench bleeding in this configuration. Just a lot of I haven't done a lot of master cylinders, haven't had the need to, done a few, and normally I wouldn't bench bleed them. I'd throw them in, put it all in, and then I would spend a ton of extra time trying to get all the air out of the lines, and it just takes forever. So I just want to show you, I've been cranking on this for a little while. You can see it on you probably are watching on the video right now, but one of the things that you'll notice when you're bench bleeding is that you've got to get a full stroke on the piston, because at the very end of here, I've run a couple and I thought I had it, and I leaned in a little bit further, got a tiny bit more, and I just want to show you the very end of the stroke on here. I actually found some more air down in the back, or it would be the front cylinder. So if you're watching the lines, right, okay, let's see, I'm not sure if you can see them. You can see my zip tie right there, but here we go. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna do a push. Oh, there's a big bubble coming up, and as you get down to the end, right at the very end, see that there's just a little tiny bubble right at the end, and so you got to make sure you're pushing these all the way in to the very end. You can see that just filled that line with air. So I got to keep going. I'm not quite done yet. We're going to do this a few more times until we get no air out of that whatsoever. All right, step one is complete. I have the new master cylinder, new proportioning valve, supposed to be for rear disc, front disc, rear disc conversion, and so that is in. I'm going to switch to doing some dash work because Tim had to run some errands, and when he gets back, we're going to jump on this, get it bled, hopefully have everything else done, and we'll get to take it for a test drive. So making progress. We'll see how we get her. All right, we're going to start bench bleeding my new master cylinder. I'm going to set this camera up here and show you what we're doing. Checking in. Lunch is over. We're back at it. As you can see, I helped Tim pull the hood and the front fenders. He's now disassembling the motor, getting ready to pull it out on the 68 F100, and so he's in process there. And as you can see, I've got the chevelle up in the air. Gonna climb underneath, disconnect the the speedometer cable, figure out how to get that off, bleed the brakes real quick while it's up in the air so that we've got that done after changing out the master cylinder today. And then I am in the process of figuring out the dash. I've got a couple pieces parts to order and some of those things to get done. So we'll see how far we get on that today. Not looking as good as what I'd hoped in the morning, but that's all right. We're making progress, and that is all that matters. So we'll check in a bit. Good morning, everybody. We're back out in the shop working on the 64 Chevelle and Tim's 68. And a couple of things on the docket. We're going to try and get the dash back into the 64 with the oil pressure gauge working and the speedometer working, and what else? Just about everything else. We should have everything else done on that, be able to bolt it back in and drive this thing. Hopefully the brakes are solved. You saw that we did the master cylinder yesterday, and we'll see if it pulls it off. On the 68, what are we hoping to get done today?
I don't know. Depends on how much time we have.
Maybe get the motor pulled.
Yeah, the motor's pretty much ready to get pulled. It just needs a couple more bell housing bolts and the motor mounts, and then it's ready to come out.
And then we got to look at the flywheel, figure out what we're doing with that.
Yeah, see if the old flywheel we have fits, and then that kind of depends on what.
Well, yeah, that determines what we're actually going to get done. Yeah.
So.
Because if we can get that thing working. If the flywheel works, then we'll have something to run the starter on. We can actually start bolting in the other motor. If it doesn't work, then we got to order another flywheel and pay more money and yabba dabba do. That's just seems like that's one thing with hot rodding you start figuring out pretty quick is that you spend a lot of money on parts, and when you're doing stuff like what we're trying to do with this old truck that we're swapping different stuff in that wasn't actually factory, it's not just to bolt it in and run. And so occasionally we're buying parts that we thought would work but don't, and it's just what you do when you're trying to hot rod cars or restore cars or make Frankensteins out of a bunch of junk parts you found.
It's the right flywheel and the right starter, but it just broke teeth.
Yeah, we snapped.
I don't know how.
Brand spanking new. Actually, both of them are brand new too.
Both of them are
that just sucks.
So I don't know.
Anyway, all right. Well, we're getting on it. We're gonna get after it today, and we'll take you along, and you can watch the progress that we're making. So we'll check in a bit. All right, got the dash out. Gonna grab a couple of drivers here, and we are gonna go back to our workbench and start disassembling. I gotta find the needle. It fell off. The speedometer cable was vibrating terribly. Knocked the cable off, and so I've got to do a little bit of work on here to find that, and then hooking up an oil line, new speedometer cable. Eventually I'm getting new I'm gonna get a new wiper motor, new ignition switch, or not ignition switch, headlight switch. I cannot get the old plug out, cannot get the nuts off of them to replace them. All right, we got the copper wire run through. Tim is now beginning to install the dash for the third time on this project. So we've taken this thing in and out a couple of times, broken 2 speedometers, and now we are starting to reassemble all of the pieces. So I'm going to get the wiring diagram and we'll start figuring out where everything goes. See how much work this is that Tim's doing. I think that goes to the clock, right? Or no, that one was just hanging. I don't know what that is, because you already got the clock connected, don't you?
No.
That one might be the clock connection. Unless you see another wire up there. Anyway, I just thought you should see the contortions that Tim's having to do to be underneath that dash, which I am so grateful for, because otherwise it'd be me in there grunting. All right, we have to run to the parts store because I messed up the brass fitting, which is not hard to do, but I've done it. And so it's stripped out. We can't get it to seal for the oil pressure line. That's all we've got left is getting this in, the dash is in, everything else is connected. Pretty sure we got all the wires hooked up. So we've just got to run and get this fitting. And once we have that in, we should be able to do a test run on the Chevelle, bead the brakes, and be good. So that's the plan, and we're gonna go do that real quick, and we'll show you the finished product here in just a minute. All right, so we're onto the oil pressure line that runs off the back of the motor. You can see back here we've got a little gauge right there. That's the dummy switch that does the oil pressure light if you have an oil pressure light on your car. We now have a gauge for the SS dash that we're putting in here, and so we got to run a tube from that port with one of these adapters. I believe this is the adapter that'll go into the back, and we got to take it up and plumb it into the back of the dash. The problem is, this piece is what was in the back of the dash. I don't know if you can see that, but it's pretty jacked up. And getting this line out of there and resetting that one's going to be kind of hard. So we're having to come up with a plan. And after spending a half an hour in the part store looking for the right part, this is the plan. And so if you watch this, one, it's going to work. I have no doubt we're going to make it work. But if you watch this and you're like, oh my goodness, Shane, you should have just got this part, text me, let me know, put it in the comments. That would be awesome. But what we're going to do, take that fitting off there, Tim. Here's my plan. There's a piece inside there we got to hang on to. So this part right here on the top, it goes right on there. It's the right thread pattern and all that. You can see that the bevel is different. So this has got an internal bevel. But if you look at the new compression fittings, they are perfect for this application. Now, what I have to do is I have to run this copper pipe all the way through this unit so it's sticking out, so it sticks out of that end right there, and then we can thread this in to the back of the dash and make it work. That's my plan.
Probably want to tighten this on so it kind of crimps it on.
We'll see if it happens. It'll crimp it in here when we tighten this into the dash bezel.
Yeah, is the dash strong enough to?
Oh yeah, it's got a solid chunk of big.
Oh, okay.
It's copper. It's all set to handle this. Well, we'll go over and check it. Let's go over and check it. Make sure that we've got all these pieces, that we're doing them right. First thing we got to do is take this other side off and see if this will slide on there or not. Because I don't know if the tubing will slide all the way through. We may have to drill that out. So that's what we're checking. Will this work? Does it hit a stop in there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's set up an 1/8 inch drill bit, and we'll pop a hole in that, because it won't go all the way through, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we got to do. And then let's go make sure that that fits into the back of the dash too. We'll come over here and check that first before we start popping holes and stuff. Actually, I'll bring this over there since we're done with it. Over here, I think we're all done over here. I just need that screwdriver. I know the camera's still running, sorry guys.
I guess you need oil too for this.
All right. So grab that copper line out of there, would you? And I'm gonna set this right here. So there's the fitting. Does that go in there good? Okay, perfect. And then I think that other, if we look in there, yep, it's beveled right there, so that'll work. So as long as we can get the line through that piece, we will be good. All right, we'll get that drilled out, and we'll make the attachment and show you what that looks like here in just a moment. All right, guys, we are wrapping it up for today. We didn't get everything done. In fact, we didn't get, kind of doesn't feel like we got much done, and this is the first time you've actually talked to Tim today.
Yeah.
But as you can see on his truck, we got quite a bit done. The motor's ready to come out. A couple of bolts off the transmission, and we'll be able to pull that. See if we can make this flywheel work to replace the broken one we have in there.
Yeah.
And then we'll do a motor swap tomorrow on that and start bolting that together. I've still got a bunch of dash work. We got the brakes done, master cylinder swapped out, brakes bled, and as you can see in here, the dash is completely torn out of this thing. But tomorrow we will, I'll work on getting that put back together so this thing's ready to go. Got the speedometer cable in. Oh, and I did glue. I should go show you what I glued up on the speedometer. Let's walk over to we'll walk over to the bench over here. I'm hoping, man, I'm just hoping that it works, because I flat broke it. So this is the speedometer needle, and normally there's supposed to be a little orange, orange tang sticking off of the top of that thing right here. You can see right there, it's supposed to be an orange tang sticking up off of there. As you can see, I've got it back in here now. That one broke off just like that, and I used some Gorilla glue and glued it back on, and I'm hoping that that'll be enough to make it work. So you can see I had to steal this one out of here, and I'm really hoping that it'll be enough to make it work. So that's the plan. Hopefully we can get this dialed back in tomorrow, get most of the gauges working, and we'll be on the road to happiness. Especially if you get your truck running.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, all right. Well, we'll check back in, and thanks for watching.
See you next time.